we're on our way. Before we head up into the canyon, let's get some gas. It's so charming. How can we not love it? And you've got to love about this little gas station in Spring City is the spring itself. They have a spring there that anybody can come take water from, and they do. They fill up jugs and jugs. Some people only drink that water. I tasted it myself. I have to concur. It's very good water. What a filthy windshield here. Let's see if we can do something about this. Get out the door. A couple more water. Not too much because I may need to survive in the wild with this water, but you know, we gotta have a good windshield to see out of. There we go. We can splish some back in the jug. Well, we're getting some to drink some true San Pete here. Ever so slightly better. So those of you who haven't been here before, what you're going to want to do is head up Center Street in Spring City, and then you'll be turning right at the very top, and then turning left at the next left, and head straight up into the canyon from there. Okay, so I just turned right at that top, and now we are turning left up toward the mountain. Holding the phone out the window so you can get back into the windshield. Now when you come to what looks like a fork in the road, do not run over forks. They will pop your tire, and it is not fun to have to fix a flat when you're up in these mountains. But take the left.
Normal voltage.
Okay, just like 2 more minutes in, and we're already seeing more biodiversity up the side of the road. I'm seeing scrub oak, which is technically gamble oak, and I'm seeing more juniper. I'm seeing some of these little yellow flowers, which I have to double check whether to see whether goldenrod or what. I need to stop and see if we got thistle and some sagebrush. Yay! Move, snatcher! Entering motor vehicle restriction area. Stay on routes designated on motor vehicle use map. Please use 4x4 on steep grades to prevent washboards. 0036.
Certified weed-free hay, straw, and feed required on National Forest land.
You got campers. Now hang on here a second. I think this here sign's supposed to say now entering Mount LaSalle National Forest. Where did our sign go? I take that back. This is our sign that's supposed to say now entering Mount LaSalle National Forest, and it still doesn't say it. I think the bears got mad and ripped it down.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you look out to your left, you'll see that we have a lovely drizzling rain coming on these beautiful National Forest lands.
If there's one thing we say in San Pete County, it's bring on the rain! Alright, so I don't know what was going on with those signs back there, but those were supposed to say National Forest. So we are in the National Forest. Now I'm just pulling off into the first little camping-ish spot to park. And we will venture from here to go see what kind of awesome vintage we can find. Now I would not call myself an expert, but I have a suspicion that these are not wild-grown cigarette butts. And folks, really? And if anybody ever asks, that is why we carry our handy-dandy trowel. Cleaning up the environment, cleaning up the environment. We will go in, cleaning up the environment. Now, in case you're wondering, now isn't that a little rough on the our Mother Earth mother to have cigarettes in her dirt? Well, I have to admit, I don't know for sure what is in cigarettes, but what I do know of cigarettes, it includes tobacco, and tobacco is actually quite good in the soil. And I'm hoping if people don't come across these again, that they will not be bad for our beautiful Utah juniper here. She's gorgeous. My bad. I believe this is actually a Rocky Mountain juniper, which may actually be what most of these out here. Again, I don't consider myself an expert, but I do consider myself a very determined geek. Before we get too far from our wild cigarette patch, let's look close around here. Now, it was the cigarette patch that brought us here, but let's look close here because there are some interesting things that we might find to discover. What have we got here? Focus. Focus. I do believe we've got a sumac. Now, it's either a skunk bush sumac or a fragrant sumac, which I find it really ironic that they call one fragrant and one skunk bush because they smell virtually the same and have virtually the same properties, but they are definitely a wild Utah sumac that produce lovely berries. Then a few inches away from that, still along our cigarette patch, we've got some snowberry, tiny little snowberry. Now these are also snowberries, and we find them too small to have fruit, of course, but I'm sure there are others in these deep, beautiful woods. Sure enough, probably 10 steps away, we find some mature snowberry, but these are a berry that I don't recommend eating. Some people will say they're edible, some people will say they are not. I have tasted them and they made my mouth feel a little bit numb and had no pleasant flavor at all, so I'm simply not interested in eating them whether or not they are edible. And anything that makes your mouth feel numb, probably better not eat that. I don't recommend eating them, but they are lovely and they do feed birds and other wildlife, and they're just lovely. Look at those little cuties. Look at that. Aww. These things are all over Spring City. Curly cup gumweed. I hate the term weed in the name of a flower. I don't think that's fair. So we're going to call it Grindelia. They're called curly cup gumweed because you can see the little curls on the cups of the blooms there, especially before they blossom, but they continue to be curly afterward. But they are very gummy. You feel them and it feels like somebody put corn syrup on them last night and left it to dry, and it's not quite dry yet. There's a sticky kind of a feeling. Now, most people would think, oh, that's annoying, that's frustrating, gross, whatever. But this is one of the best things that you can stick on a sting of any kind. You get bit by a harvester ant, which we get tons of out here. You get stung by a bee or a wasp. Rub some of that on there. Now, I suppose you could chew it up and then put it on, but the taste is, woo, very strong. Not my cup of tea. I don't know if you could actually make tea out of this for drinking. I don't think they're toxic, but I don't recommend it. Just the flavor is like, it's like eating straight pine sap or something, very strong. But it's lovely stuff. It has a nice smell, really, but it does have that sticky film that that most people find somewhat unpleasant. But it's kind of that sticky film that you want for those stings and bites and so forth, which I do have an ant bite right now. I might try it on, but we'll get back to that later. Here we have some wild yarrow. It looks like it has finished its flowering season and it is now gone to seed, which is lovely for us because you can collect a few of these, sprinkle them in your yard, and get some of your own yarrow. Let's see if I can do this in a orderly fashion. Hang on. That's what I'm talking about. Very small seeds, but you get a lot of flowers out of those. You know, one of the ways you can detect yarrow is these lovely fern leaf arrangements that they have. They're just a lovely little fern-looking leaf there. See that? That is yarrow. Now you'll get different kinds of yarrow. In these woods, I've only seen white so far, but you can get these in red, in yellow, various things at the the nurseries and so forth. Sometimes they'll be bigger than these, but these wild ones out here tend to be the white, maybe foot to 2 feet tall, and those lovely little ferny leaves. Lovely. And I should say, for the sake of full disclosure and shameless self-promotion, we do sell yarrow seed in our Etsy shop, Willow Rise Gardens Etsy shop. And they will not look like this. They will look like, well, flowers. Okay, now I've been in this particular campground probably dozens of times, mostly collecting wood for our wood stove. But let's have a little fun and do a little venturing out since we're on a plant exploration. Let's try going down this hill. I kind of wish I'd brought a walking stick. I may have to find myself one while I'm up here. We're gonna try going down a little ways. We got some willow, probably white willow. We'll look further at that later. Another time. Oh, see, here's one that's been cut down. This is something about willow that's amazing. No matter how many times it gets cut down, it keeps working its way back out. I love that about willow. There's a concept that is often used for creating axe handles and hammer handles, basically tool handles, that's called coppicing, where people will cut down a tree that's, you know, something like willow, something that grows fast and long, and those, after they cut it down, the ones that come up in their place will have such a massive root system underground because of this big tree that they've been supporting all this time, that these branches can come out long and straight and strong very quickly. So what you get is big long branches that can be used for a shovel handle, for, you know, various things when you need a firm rod, and they will use those to get fence posts and rods and handles and so forth. That's what coppicing is, and it's very common with willow, among other things. You'll also see in willow how resilient it is. I don't know what happened here. This kind of looks like at one point in its young life, it probably was snapped over, probably broke, but not entirely off, and over a long time recovered. I mean, it's got some little bit of permanent scar there, it looks like, but it pulled through okay, and look, you've got this lovely tree coming out. This is one of the reasons you'll find such interesting shapes of trees. See, there's one down there that is kind of in the midst of that now. It's kind of a sad story, really, looking at that live tree down below, and it just snapped off right in the middle, and it appears that it killed the tree, but it did not. Plants don't have lives like we do, where they're either alive or dead. They kind of have everything in between, and if you can tap into one of those life gradient parts, you may be able to bring the tree back to life, and either from the roots or from higher branches or whatever. But willows are one of these resilient trees that it just impresses me. Oh, and looky over here, we've got another sumac. Remember our tiny little sumac that I said we got some steep stuff here. If I'm found at the bottom of the ditch, this was my last dying effort to show you these lovely sumac fruits growing alongside this great big willow. That looks like probably a white willow. But see these little red fruits here? They're kind of sticky. They remind me just a touch of that curly cup gumweed we were talking about. Now, I don't usually eat these like chomp and swallow, but I like to kind of put them in my mouth, suck on them a bit, and just kind of nibble at it. I don't want to eat the seed in the middle. It's probably not harmful or anything, but it's just a hard chunk, so not really interested in that, but sucking on it, it just gives off that very interesting sweet flavor. It's hard to describe, but it's something like it smells. Let me give it a smell here. Let's see. It's hard to smell with a sumac fruit in my mouth. Let me take that out again. See, I've just been kind of chewing on that and nibbling on the edges. And yeah, I mean, it kind of has that smell, but it's I don't know, it's a little better than that, I think. Anyway, I'll suck on it until the skin kind of falls off the seed, and then the seed will fall free, and you'll have that seed there, which you can try planting. I have not yet had success getting one of these to grow, but I have not tried very much yet. Mostly I've just had fun nibbling the fruit and throwing it out to see what grows when it wants to. And some seeds, just by nature of their, I don't know, the way they're genetically formed, they prefer to wait a couple of years, or they want a really hardcore cold stratification or whatever. But and so I'll have to look up, maybe we'll do that later, what the sumac, I want to say rus, because rus is the genus name. It basically means sumac, but the sumac fruits here, lovely, tastes good, kind of fun to nibble on, considered a trail snack. And if you want to swallow the skin of the fruit, you can, or if you want to spit it out, that's fine too. It's just a fun, lovely little flavor to be, you know, kind of like you chew on gum. These you kind of suck on a sumac fruit. It's not bad. Okay, while we're here, I think I'll venture further on down if I don't die in the process. There we go. Just very gently. I don't want to disturb the wildlife, which is to say the plant life. And for all the lovely stuff out here. And we do have some lovely stuff indeed. Seeing some dogwood over there, more willow. That looks like a narrow leaf willow right there. In fact, let's go a little bit closer on the narrow leaf. Oh, we've got some slick rocks here. And this one's probably slick. We'll just carefully cross here without disrupting our lovely little grass sculpture here. Check this out. There is nothing here of traditional dirt and so forth, but we've got this grass and moss growing right there out of the crack in the rock. That is the way nature works right there. It doesn't waste any space. Love it. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a narrow leaf willow. Look at that. That is lovely. These tiny, tiny leaves. That is gorgeous. We found ourselves a wild phone charger. Wow. Who'd have thought? And these aren't even native to Utah. Some poor kid is sitting in class with a dead phone because he can't charge it. Now, one of the things I really love about willows, cottonwoods, other of these salix family, the family of willows, is how easy they are to propagate. Now, we're not going to do anything grand scale. I don't think that's even allowed, but we're going to do something very simple here. What I'm going to do is cut off a small branch here. Now, you don't have to go all the way up to where it touches the mother branch there, but we're going to go ahead and do that just because it's a convenient size. Now, you could slide off these leaves. Some people say, no, don't hit the leaves, but it's actually not going to need them. In fact, the leaves will slow down the progress of the propagated bit. So we're going to cut it down so it just has a few little leaves there help it out as it gets going. Now you'll notice that I cut that at an angle. Okay. Now that angle is the angle you want to cut for the cutting. Now for the branch that you cut it off of, it's better to cut straight. Now the reason for this is it's for the same reason. A slanted cut allows for more water to enter through. And so the slant will allow that when it's in the water, it can pull more water up in. At the other end, and I'll just give a sample here by cutting off this tip here, fairly unnecessary because I think that part's actually dead. But because it's flat on that tip there now, which you can barely see in the camera, because it's flat, it won't release as much of that water out. Because just as the slanted edge will allow more water in, the slanted edge up here would allow more water out. So we clip it at the tightest, which is straight across, in order to let less water out. Now that we've got that slant, now because this is a woody branch, if you look close, you can see that it's, we're going in circles. You can see that this is a woody branch, not a green branch. Green branches work fine too. It's just less necessary to do this step. Because it's a woody branch, I'm going to scuff it just a little bit around those edges. Just, you don't want to scrape past the green, but just give a little scratched edge there, kind of like something's been, you know, digging with its fingernails or something in there, but not digging through really. And then what we'll do with this is we will take it and put it in water. Now with many kinds of plants, you're going to want to put it in a pot with wood, soil, something like that. We don't need to do that with the willow. They'll do just fine on their own. In fact, this little guy that we cut off even might go downstream and develop him some roots in a new tree. But if we just put this guy here and we'll poke him down in just a little bit, make sure he's pinned in a little bit. And if we were to come back in a couple of months, chances are this little guy will have become a small tree and starting to expand out a little bit by then. So we're just going to pin him in there. We'll mark our GPS and then we'll check on him later. I'm really curious to see if this little guy develops into a separate new little tree in the river. Now you guys, this is one of the biggest things to watch out for while you're hiking, in my estimation, is this right here. Do you see this? Come on, get a close up on the foreground. There we go, starting to come into focus. Do you see that? And oh, look, we've got another one right here. I mean, these are, 2 inches tall, not even an inch wide. They're going all the way up this slope. And what are they? They are the children of this. You see that? They're a fir. And if we go tromping our way up this ridge without paying attention to where we're stepping, yeah, we'll tromp over some of these little snowberries, and those get a good 6 feet tall and kind of lanky but cute. And we got this quakey here. I mean, goodness, look at this guy. He almost needs rescuing as he is. He'd certainly be an easy rescue. Look at him, barely hanging on. However, this ledge right here has a severe risk of erosion. This is likely to get ripped away and eventually just kind of become bare ground. Now it's true, deer are gonna come along and possibly eat this away, but we've already got a bit of steepness here, and there's certainly some steepness above, which means there's a good chance they'll make it a while. And if they make it a while, they might get to this size, like the brother here. And if they get to that size, there's a good chance they'll get bigger to like Uncle Frederick here. And once they get as big as Uncle Frederick, there's a good chance they're just gonna make it as big as Mama. So watch out for those. Don't step on them if you can help it. Now, if your life is on the line and you're sliding down the mountain, you sometimes, you can't help but slide over things as you plummet to your death. But try not to bring things with you to your death if you can help it. Even more so, just wanting to get up that hill. Is it worth it? See, I mean, even just a simple thing as this, we've got all these little firs popping up right here, but I'm really not seeing any right here. And even though this way looks maybe slightly easier to go, not even much, we'll probably go up this way because I don't see any starts up here. It's not going to do any harm to anything that I can tell. And but I am going to have to watch out for this little rescue Quakey here. This little guy, he needs to pull through. Now you would think, boy, he's like hardly anything there. There's the roots and needs to be rescued. And yeah, it could definitely use a rescue. But just because this ledge needs life so badly, I'm going to leave it just because that there root that's going along probably actually goes deeper, connects to another Quakey like that one right there. See, that is probably its twin. And they don't look like twins because of their size difference, but if they are clones of coming from the same branch going underground, then that's exactly what they are. There's a good chance actually that most of the Quakeys around here are all twins, quintuplets, quadrozilliupets. Yeah. Oh, and my point was that I was trying to get to before I got distracted by my own tangent here, is that this thing, though it looks so pathetic here, is probably actually connected to a network which allows it plenty of nutrients, which is probably why it looks so happy and healthy here. I mean, it looks amazing, even though it's like tipped over and looks like it's pretty much going to die. It's not probably going to die. What it'll probably do is assert itself and start working its way upward, and this will solidify and become a trunk rather than a root that it once was, and then it will start creating Quakeys. Oh, see, there's a twin brother right there that's not much bigger, but is clearly better asserted. So anyway, as I go up this hill, I'm going to be careful not to upset that root there, because it's connected to a whole network and it's helping to prevent erosion up this hill. So thank you, Quakeys, we love you. And we might have found ourselves a source for lovely walking stick. So we got some of this bigger size, it's kind of chunky and all that. This one looks pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Get some. Now I prefer to have it just a little bit light. I don't want it something I'm going to have to, if I've got to dangle from the center from, that it's going to save my life. I don't think that's necessary, but just something that helps me get good, strong footing. It's easy to carry around. If I have to dangle it from my side while I'm carrying something, it's not a big deal for a short time. So there we go. I think we got our walking stick. I shall name it Methuselah. And we've got a friend here. Kept trying to land on my skin, and I'm afraid he's gonna bite me. On my shirt, I think we're okay. Hello. Looking good there, buddy. Oh yay, I'm excited. Heading up this hill, and guess what we've got? Manzanita! I love the manzanita. These are such beautiful bushes. They will, remove my gloves here because I gotta feel that texture. Look at that, you've got the flower remnant there. They feel, when you touch them, almost like a kind of a, I don't know, almost like cereal box cardboard texture. They're very stiff. They feel like if I were to fold it in half, that it would snap. And maybe it would. But let me tell you what's fun about Manzanita is these fruits. These tiny little fruits, they're edible. Now these don't look ripe yet, so I'm not likely to eat some now. But these trees grow so old that they don't start fruiting until they're about 20 years old. 20 years old before they even start. That's like the age that walnuts and some of the ancient trees grow. Now, you'll recognize the Manzanita from this lovely red-like bark, and then those stark green leaves, and of course, like I said, the texture, that almost like cardboard-like texture. And you can even see sometimes some kind of a wave in the branch there. Let's go up to this one up here. I can see it's covered in fruit here. Really exciting. Manzanita. There are areas up here where you'll find just massive patches of these things, and they're just gorgeous bushes. I mean, this is the full size right here. You probably can't tell from the angle, but this might be 3.5 feet tall, maybe 4 feet tall, and this thing will live over 100 years. And these darling little fruits on them, they when you do taste them, they have a little bit of an apple-like flavor. Yeah, and like I said, these are not ripe. They're still very, very astringent, which is a word that you'll hear a lot in edible foods, things. Astringent is that sensation in your mouth of wanting to pucker, not necessarily because it's sour, but think of when you eat a really tart Granny Smith apple, or maybe you bite into a walnut that just really makes your mouth feel like it's wrinkling up, and in the front it just feels like it's, you know, sucking the water right out of your mouth or something. That is astringency. Yeah, he could tell you all about astringency. He's eaten all kinds of things. Both of them have. Look at them go. Yay. Hi, guys. Oh, I'm sorry I got you separated. Well, was he being mean to you? Or are you guys flirting? Might be the same thing out here. Anyway, so yeah, so they have that astringent taste right now, but they will lose that once they get mature. But that's really fun. I love the Manzanita. I believe this is a greenleaf Manzanita is the name of it. And they're also an evergreen, so they will be around all year. They actually prefer the dry, and they grow in the mountains all over Utah. And I think they're a bit of a treasure. Just makes me want to cry. And here's one of the things that makes a treasure of the Manzanita. Just look at the gorgeous wood here. Now this, I don't know what's wrong that the tree, or that the bush has died in this side of it, but it hasn't fully. Because look at this, we've got life going on over here. People say a dead or a live branch can't grow on a live, how does that work? Live branch can't grow on a dead trunk. But for all intents and purposes, this sure looks dead. But look carefully. If we use a magic trick that, you know, using the phone to reach around where we can't reach with our human head, you can see life going on the underside of the branch. Isn't that fascinating? So the top of the branch is dead and the bottom half is alive, and beautiful wood. Oh, just gorgeous. And how wavy, and at my house we call this fairy wood. When you find wood that is gnarly and ancient looking and so forth, that is an example of fairy wood. This is very firm on there still too. The fact that that there's branches of it still alive, I don't know what is killing it, but it's sure making for beautiful wood there. And that main trunk is just gorgeous. Look at that. I mean, there's something going on there, but wow, that's so cool. It's like an old ancient tree. Fairies down here by old Mother Manzanita. There she is. Oh, we have to have a face in the trees.
Good morning, child.
We've gone ahead and found ourselves a little souvenir from the very dead portion of the Manzanita. Some of this gorgeous dead wood that we're going to take home and see if we can do something fun with it. But look at that, just beautiful wood. Beautiful. Oh.
Listen with your heart, you will understand.
The way back down now, but I couldn't resist stopping. I have been seeing these things all the way up, but I couldn't resist on these because they're ripe. Yay! This is Oregon grape, or creeping Oregon grape, or creeping Mahonia. Often it's probably better called Mahonia because these are nothing like grapes whatsoever. But you can eat them. They're extremely tart. Very little sweetness, which is such a unique thing. You almost want to eat them thinking of them as a savory food, like you would have a tomato or a pepper. But that tartness just, I can't resist it. They're in the barberry family. If you know anything about barberries, they're all that kind of tart berry. They all taste the same, honestly. The barberries and the creeping Mahonia. They have a Mahonia aquifolium, which is a bush style. It's really just these, but they get these big, 4 or 5 foot bushes out of them, and they get the little berries and so forth. And there's what your seeds look like on the inside. There's probably 3 to 6 or so seeds per fruit. And if I squeeze this, you can see that red juice in there. It's just that sour, yummy tastiness. The seeds are harmless to eat, but we're gonna go ahead and sprinkle them back here for the next year's generation, next coming year's generation, many years ahead. I don't know how long they take to grow, but watch out, they'll stain your fingers. And I'll come walking out of the canyons, fingers covered in red, and they'll say, "What have you been doing?" Tis confession time. As I was descending down the mountain, my belt caught a hold of this poor chokecherry branch and yanked it from its mother tree. So I gave it the proper trimming, a little scuff here. Now we're going to place it in this lovely moss location in hopes that maybe, just maybe, under this moisture, it may reroot and grow itself into a beautiful mother tree of its own. There you go, dear chokecherry. May you have many cherries grown from you in the future, by which you may choke people. Feed people. I'm joking! Oh, chokecherries don't choke people. They're totally edible. Just wait till they're black, you guys. They taste awful until they're fully black. That's when they're ripe. That's when to eat them. Chokecherries. Stupid name. Methuselah, you've been a loyal friend. Thank you for supporting us and keeping us from dying on the mountain. So now you will be retired into the wilderness. Sorry. Okay, you guys, I'm like on my way home. I'm like driving along and suddenly red berries. And I'm like, I gotta stop and see what this is. Oh, it's more of the of the aromatic sumac. Lovely, but that's cool. But then check this out. Yeah, one of my favorites, blue elderberry. Now some of these are not quite ripe yet. They've got kind of that gray tint still, but here we go. Oh, yeah. Blue elderberries. See if I can get a close up. Come on, buddy. You got this. Oh, yeah. They are said to be a, squishing them now so you can kind of see the inside. They're said to be a type of black elderberry. I don't care. Whatever. They taste amazing. You don't want to eat these in mass quantities, but they're ripe. They're awesome. Yummy. Okay. Now I gotta go home. Thank you, blue elderberry. Hoof snatcher!